Hey everybody, I hope you're having a beautiful day. It is so gorgeous here and it's fall, the leaves are on the ground, the beautiful colors around with all the leaves. It just really is beautiful. And it's got that brisk, wind factor today, which I love. So I was just walking to the park and there was a gentleman that was in one of the little riding carts, people that work here at the park. And he came up to me and he's like, "Is everything okay? Is there a problem?" And I looked at him, I'm like, "Why would there be a problem?" And he goes, do you need anything?" And I'm like, "Do I look like I need anything?" I was like a little startled, like this weird conversation. And he's like, "You don't work here?" And I said, "No." He thought I was an employee of the park, which again was kind of comical to me, but I was like, "No," I said, "I'm a van lifer and I'm here to check out the park and I like, going on the trails." And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "I'm sorry." He's like, "You're kind of dressed like some of our people." And I'm like, "Okay." So I've got my wool hat on. I've got my outer vest, which sometimes when I have this coat on, it'll be lit up. Maybe one of them went out by now. And I've got on like brown corduroy pants and some tennis shoes. And I'm like, okay, I guess I look like a park ranger or a park worker. So that was kind of interesting. And that just happened. So, just being mindful. Sometimes when you're looking down at the ground, it's a little damp. We had some rain past couple days, but for the most part, it looks pretty dry, but some of the spots look wet. So I'm just being mindful of my injuries and paying attention. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about, this idea of fall and letting go. And in a weird way, I saw a different connection that I had not seen before, because I was looking at the feasts of the Lord and I was looking at the dates, and then you have the spring feast, you have the fall feast, you have Hanukkah, you have Purim, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So and of course Passover. So anyway, I'm looking at the similarities between fall, which is you're letting go of things. The leaves, the trees are letting go of their leaves. They're letting go of the extra baggage, right? And they're letting go of, I even want to say, the extra weight. They're letting go of the extra weight in a weird way. And they're entering into a place of stillness and preparation for the winter, and of course in the fall, that's when everything gets dark sooner, so it's like right now sunset today is at 5:47 p.m. Well, each week it's a couple minutes earlier, right? And so then again it's going to get to the point where at 5 o'clock it's going to be dark. And again, for a lot of people that work, they're still at work, so they're getting to work when it's dark outside because of the drive to work, what have you. And then they're at work all day long. They're not seeing the sun. They're not outside enjoying nature. And then they get off of work and it's dark again, and then they're driving home in the dark. So for a lot of people, this change of season gets into the seasonal affect disorder, or the, people getting annoyed that it's always dark out and it feels depressing, and where's the light, because they don't get to see the light because they're working in cubicles or what have you. So I started to think about, again, the similarities in a weird way of like fall, you're letting go of things that no longer serve you. In fall, you're letting go of the people, places, and things that are just not really a part of your support system. They're not part of your environment. You need to let them go. And with your like home and organization, it's like the preparation for winter, like, do you have enough supplies? You know, are you going to be able to withstand the winter? Do you have, you know, your heat factor organized and the supplies for that, whether it's wood or propane or coal or whatever? Do you have enough water supply? Do you have, you know, enough clothes to keep you warm? Do you have enough blankets? Like, it's like the fall of letting go is like, we're getting rid of things that are in our space that maybe we don't really need right now, but what we need to focus on is replenishing our resources if we haven't done already. And the similarity of spring feasts and spring cleaning, if you will, has a similar quality to the fall letting go and the spring cleaning of, like, for Passover. It's like you're letting go of the things that puff you up. You're letting go of the things that are keeping you in your ego. You know, a lot of the, you know, moving from getting all the leaven, the yeast and the things that raise you up, the raised bread, if you will, you're getting those things out because you're preparing for the coming of the Lord, his presence. You're preparing for that, that you're trying to get out your sin and your lusts and your desires, and you're coming like raw. You're coming humble. And I saw the similarities with the spring feasts, with Passover, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, you know, the fall feasts are kind of the same thing, but there's also the beauty of, in fall, like, the foods that we're drawn to eat are comfort foods. They're to fill us up, to put more meat on our bones, like my grandparents would say. And it's the, like, you are eating the sourdough breads. You are eating, you know, pumpkins and squash and heartier vegetables that, like, when you eat them, you're really full. Whereas in the springtime, you know, preparing for summer, it's like, I just want to eat fruits. And, you know, so I guess what I'm saying is, in the springtime, you're leaning towards eating lighter, feeling lighter, and preparing for the fact that when the summer comes, you might be having some hard manual labor because you're using the season of the heat to get stuff done, you know, with the gardening and the harvesting and that sort of thing. And then in the fall, we're allowing ourselves to eat this hearty bread, you know, like spelt grains or sourdough bread, pumpkin bread, all of those things. You know, the root vegetables, sweet potatoes, and you know, things that when you eat them, it's like you really are full and you don't have the desire for extra. Now I'm going to go on a side tangent for a moment with honey, specifically raw honey, and just share with you my experience with honey. For many years, I was vegan, and vegans don't eat honey. And, you know, so it was kind of like, within the community, it was definitely like looked down upon. And for many years, I did not eat honey. And every once in a while, you know, if I went to my family's house and they'd offer you tea, you know, I'd be like, and they'd say, would you like tea with honey? And I was like, well, okay, I'll try it. And again, a lot of the processed honeys that are store-bought, they're not from a farm, a lot of times those honey sugars they're fake. They're processed, they're highly processed. I'm not talking about the raw kind, I'm talking about the very processed types of honey. Like typically in those little honey bear plastic containers that you squeeze tube, you know, a lot of those typically were very processed honeys. So I didn't really like honey when it was offered to me, because most of the time what I was consuming at someone's house or whatever was this very highly sugarized processed honey, and it was not raw. So over the years, there was a woman that I became very close to, and her husband, and they had this health food store called the Health Concern, and it's no longer there. It was burned down during COVID, and that business just kind of went goodbye, and I'm so sad that it did, because it was my favorite health food store. But anyway, when I would talk with the husband and wife who owned that store, they were encouraging me to add honey to my diet, specifically this raw honey. And they would carry specific brands that accentuated that. And some of the honey jars, the way that they were prepared, was at the very top of the honey jar, you would find some of the propolis and the royal jelly at the top of the jar. And that's how it was prepared. And at the time, like I said, I really didn't understand the process of honey or what any of that meant that I just shared about the royal jelly being at the top. It's like the queen bee's, prized part of the honey, and you'd get some of the like waxiness of the honeycomb at the very top of this particular brand of honey. So anyway, I used to buy that particular brand of honey, and I came to really love it, and I came to really see and feel the benefits, the health benefits of eating that particular brand of raw honey. So I was, doing that for years. And then, this whole thing with Facebook Marketplace, and that I started to sell things online with all the deaths that I have experienced in my family and in my circle of influence. And I started to help people sell things online through Facebook Marketplace. And most of the stuff was and has been furniture, household items, some tools. But then over time, after I helped other people get their stuff sold, I then thought, well, wait, maybe I should be selling my own stuff on here. And, then I had, my aunt died in 2016, and I began selling a bunch of her stuff online that I inherited, and just I didn't have a need for all this extra stuff, so I began to sell things online. And from, I guess, that time from 2016 until now, I've really started a side hustle, a side business, which has been selling things online and through Facebook Marketplace, through Etsy. I haven't really gotten into the realm of eBay. That's just not something that I've wanted to learn or understand. But again, like for me, it's been Facebook Marketplace. And so in this whole marketplace, all of a sudden I started to look up, like, are there any raw honey sources online, and where are they located? And, let me try out directly from the beekeeper. And so sometimes I've gone into the city to try some of the Baltimore honey in the city. Sometimes I've gone into the county, different parts of the county, to get different varieties of honey. And again, I've really have appreciated the experience of trying all these different types of honey, and how it has really, benefited my health and those close to me. And so then the topic of hello, and then the topic of people would come over and they would be like, we were having some tea, and I'd be like, oh, would you like some honey? And so then, that shift from my family asking me that, and then now I am a keeper of the honey, if you will, and having different varieties to offer. And again, my friends and I would pick out, well, I like this one because it has that wildflower taste. But I like this one because it's just so pure. And I like this one because you can taste, like, I don't know what you call it, but like other herbs that are in the ground. So, you know, trying out different honeys, types of raw honey, has been of interest to me. So over the last weekend, I went away to Assateague. And when I was in Assateague, I'll take a little rest here. When I was in Assateague, I was going to get some food, and it happened to be a pizza shop. And at the counter, I noticed these raw honeycombs that were in containers for sale. And I was like, wow, you know, I think I'm going to get one of those. And like I said, over the years, most of what I've just tried has been like honey in a jar, honey in a container. But this time it was like the honeycomb, and I have never really purchased that. So I was like really drawn to it, like, I'm gonna buy this. So I get in my van and I open up the container and I take a bite of this honeycomb, and it was like, wow. The honey around and inside of that honeycomb is the best honey that I've ever tasted. Like, just incredible. And then you have the chewiness of you're eating the actual honeycomb, so you're feeling the wax in between your teeth. I can't really explain it. It's a weird sensation. And you know, and then it's like, I was like, wow, this honey is really amazing. Well, then just again, this is how God works for me. Like, I'm watching some YouTube, and then there's this guy talking about the benefits of honey. And I actually watched it last night, and it was just like, it just came on my feed. I wasn't searching for it. It just was there. And I was like, okay. And I watched for a while on all these benefits of all the different portions of honey. And then I saw how in my life, the Lord had been pointing me in that direction about honey, about the benefits of honey. And you know, like, I had bought the bee pollen before, and then I'd put the bee pollen in my smoothies, and then sometimes I'd run out of it and I'd forget to go to the store and get another bee pollen thing. So what I'm saying is, over the years I've been kind of led in this direction, but I wasn't connecting all the dots and seeing all the benefits of all the parts of the honey. Not just the honey itself, but the propolis little beads, the royal jelly, and the honeycomb. So now that I've understood a better understanding of how the bees work, you know, the queen bee, what they're doing, I'm now understanding why it was important to me. Like, whatever I was missing in terms of nutrition, supplements, etc., like that honeycomb and eating the raw honey from the sources, local sources that I have been purchasing from, like, it was like a aha. And like, for a couple days straight, this whole time I was on this out by the beach, it was like I was having my daily portion of honey, whereas before I might have only had it when I had tea with a friend, or it wasn't like something I was actively trying to eat honey every single day. And most of the time when you're trying to lose weight, people will tell you, like, don't eat honey, don't eat sugar, don't eat this. And so I wasn't eating any of that because I've been detoxing. But when I had that honeycomb, it was like, I felt so much better. My clarity was on, my heart felt opened. I felt like my body was repairing itself. And then when I came back home, it was like the detoxing portion of what I've been going through. It was like I wasn't even taking any of the parasite pills or the liver cleanse or any of those things over that whole weekend. And it was like the honey itself cleansed me out. It literally kicked out whatever didn't belong. And it was like healing the inflammation. Like my body was getting like less puffy, and like just more, my skin looked better. And, you know, and then I was in, you know, doing my errands, you know, this week, and people were like, wow, your eyes look so bright. And, you know, people that know me, you know, they were like, wow, your eyes look so bright, and, you know, you look amazing. And I'm like, wow. And then last night I listened to this video, and it says how important it is for women who are either pre-menopause or in menopause or post-menopause to have the benefits of honey and royal jelly and propolis, because they're such good things for our body to replenish and nourish. And I'm just like a witness to this, saying, yes, it truly does. So anyway, I need to get more honey. So all I'm saying is, it's funny how one little thing can lead to other things that can unlock, you know, to your health. And of course, like when you taste honey, it tastes so delicious. And it's like, there is something about honey that, like, you have, like, I'm going to say, like, let's say like a tablespoon or something, like that kind of portion. And you feel satisfied. It's not like I keep going back to the honey jar and going, I want to keep drinking this jar. No, it's like I have that tablespoon of honey and I'm satisfied. And so the Bible says, like, you know, don't eat too much honey. But it also has many references, you know, glorifying the golden honey, you know, the golden liquid. And so the Bible says it's good. If God says it's good, then I'm going to believe that it's good. And, you know, and over time, God has proved that to me when other people were telling me, you know, don't eat the honey, it's bad for you because you're, quote, vegan. And now I'm like, you know what, I'm not even going to put a label on what I am. Like, I eat a lot of raw fruits and vegetables. I eat things that are cooked. And I'm just eating as God leads me, based on the season, based on where I am, based on what is available. And I hope that honey talk, you know, brings some sweetness to your day. And if you've never tried honey, or you have, like, again, look for raw honey over processed honey, because the taste differences is just, it's like night and day. So different. So check it out. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.